On the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletic teams and administration each week, presented by Gamebridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Happy holidays from everybody here on Ball State Athletics on episode 17 of This Week in Ball State Sports. This is our last episode of 2023, and our next show will be in a couple of weeks on January 8th. So taking 2 weeks off from the podcast, and then we'll jump right back into it. We'll have crossover between basketball, baseball, softball conversations coming up, men's volleyball, gymnastics, swim and dive continues, track and field. There are so many sports that will take place when we roll into January, and we can't wait to share those stories with you on This Week in Ball State Sports. But today, last episode of the year, we'll sit down with Jeff Mitchell, Director of Athletics for Ball State, and Emma Kumar, who's the Associate Athletics Director and Women Sport Administrator in Ball State. So very great conversations here to wrap up 2023. We'll talk about the baseball, softball schedules with Jeff, look ahead to men's volleyball as well. And with Emma, we'll break down her journey, see what she's done, see where her journey's led her to Ball State, how she's gone through her entire career, and really exciting stuff from her end in the Ball State Athletics Department. That's all coming up next. A word from our sponsor, Gamebridge. This is episode 17 of This Week in Ball State Sports. Happy holidays from all of us at Ball State.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gamebridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gamebridge.io.
Cardinals fans, welcome back into episode 17 of This Week in Ball State Sports. We'll have a fun conversation coming up with Emma Kumar in the Ball State Athletics office. But before we get to Emma, we have Director of Athletics, Jeff Mitchell, joining the show. Jeff, appreciate you as always on our last episode before the holiday break.
Mick, thanks so much. I'm excited about it.
So first off, there's been a lot of talk about apparel at Ball State. How can fans get some? How can people represent their teams? All of that, we have a solution. The official online fan store has launched for Ball State Athletics in the partnership.
Yeah, I think it's part of a solution, and we're really excited about this partnership. Anytime that we have a chance to spread the word about our brand, the better. And I can't think of a better way than to have an official online sponsor in Game Day Spirit. And it will be easy now for fans to go to this dedicated place to look at the inventory of gear that they offer and to purchase and have a great customer experience while doing so, and to buy your gear and wear it proudly and spread the Ball State brand. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great step in the right direction in terms of how we flood the marketplace with all things Ball State.
That link is shop.ballstatesports.com. So shop.ballstatesports.com is where you can go to Game Day Spirit, pick up all of your Ball State apparel. It's really cool because they have so many different options. They have each individual team apparel. So you can get Ball State gymnastics, you can get Ball State tennis, field hockey, basketball, football, individual shirts. Also a lot of Dancing Charlie mixed in with the Game Day Spirit as well. I know that's been a pretty hot commodity for fans that have been asking for apparel for Ball State Athletics. So shop.ballstatesports.com, Dancing Charlie, Cardinal Head, it's all there. It's unique because it is now a one-stop online shop for Ball State fans where you go there, you have men's apparel, women's apparel, hoodies, T-shirts, the likes. So it's not just one thing there. It's got everything.
Yeah, it's got everything. It's comprehensive. And again, when people are interested in buying Ball State gear, now they can go to our website, they can find links on social, and go right there to our preferred partner, our official online partner for apparel. And so I would encourage anybody that's listening to this right now in the days leading up to Christmas to go to the website and buy all your last-minute Christmas gifts at your fingertips.
And even better, free shipping from Game Day Spirit through the month of December. So if you're a little late on your holiday shopping or want a New Year's gift for that person, shop.ballstatesports.com is the way to go. We saw a lot of Ball State apparel in the stands at the Indy Classic down at Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis for Ball State, Indiana State. Such a great environment to host the second Indy Classic.
Absolutely, and I will say before we transition to the conversation about the Gainbridge experience that I have on good authority that Santa Claus is a Ball State fan.
He wears a lot of red.
He does. There's no coincidence there.
No coincidence.
But back to basketball and Gainbridge, what a great atmosphere it was for college basketball on Saturday, not only for Ball State, but just the state of Indiana generally, and a sold-out crowd in a beautiful facility. It was my first time in that facility, and so I was blown away by the renovations that the Pacers have done in there, and just a marvelous game day atmosphere. I thought we were competitive, but for a little bit of a stretch there where we were very generous with the basketball and giving it to a very good Indiana State team. But our team continues to improve, and excited about our future as we go through this season. But just generally, the day was fantastic, and really grateful for the Pacers and Gainbridge Fieldhouse and the Indy Sports Corp for all that they did to put that event on. And again, just great for the state of Indiana to showcase basketball on the college level, and two really good basketball games between Ball State and Indiana State, and then Purdue and Arizona.
It's really cool to see out of the 4 teams, 3 of them in-state schools, and then bringing in the number 1 team in the country at the time, Arizona, to heighten the Indy Classic. You mentioned a competitive basketball game for Ball State, Indiana State, down by 23 at one point, came back and closed the gap to 4 points. Coach Lewis at the end of that game said that we grew today. We got a little bit better today. He said we don't like losing, we don't want to lose, but he saw the growth real time, cutting a deficit of 23 down to 4. How did you see that play out as well?
Yeah, well, I had a unique vantage point because I sat right behind the bench, and normally I don't. I'm sitting opposite, and what I saw was the guys never wavered from being competitive. And, even when we were down at one point by 23, what I watched was the way our guys just continued to be resilient on the court. They never were looking at the scoreboard and seeing then, oh, shoot, we're down by, almost 20 or more than that. But no, they said, okay, next play. Let's execute this next play. And I think that was the message that Coach Lewis and his staff were relaying to the guys, and I think that's how they play generally. I think that's been a constant theme, and our guys are buying into it. So they're not letting the situation in the game impact them one way or the other. Even if we're up by 23, I think the message is let's go execute the play to the best of our ability, and to not play to the score, but rather play because we need to execute in a certain way. So I saw that, even though it ended up not going our way. I think that's very telling of the type of competitiveness that we're going to continue to see from our team as we go into the matchup at Minnesota later this week, and then as we begin conference play in January. So again, really like this team. They are fierce competitors, and looking forward to seeing them play again soon, and encourage our fans, especially as we start the conference season in January, to catch us in Worthing when you can.
Tickets make great stocking stuffers, by the way. Just saying, there's time. There's time to get your tickets before the holidays are over. Jeff, you mentioned the end of non-conference. What a way to go into conference play with the Indy Classic and then at Minnesota, and then a pretty sizable gap between the 21st of December and MAC play starting January 2nd. But this Minnesota matchup, pivotal to end the non-conference stretch. Yeah,
I think it's a great way to end the non-conference stretch. Of course, we've got that one remaining non-conference game in the MAC SBC challenge that we'll play during conference play. But for all intents and purposes, wrapping up non-conference play with the matchup at Minnesota. Great opportunity for our guys to go and play another high-profile game and, again, be tested on the road. And another advantage I think that we picked up or that we can lean on was playing on, although it was a neutral setting, but playing on the road at Gainbridge. And that venue is about as big and as vibrant as you're going to find. And so now they can go to Minnesota. It'll be another big gym. Of course, we play our home games in a large arena, so they should be used to this at this point. And now can they just find the confidence in playing the Ball State brand of basketball, playing to that standard, and going to compete. And I think at this stage in the season, our guys are just continuing to improve, as Coach Lewis has alluded to, and I think they'll have another opportunity to do that on the road at Minnesota, and then we'll get into conference play.
Jeff, on the women's basketball side, they've had a sizable gap as well between their last game and then playing coming up in the Suncoast Challenge down in Florida, Pittsburgh, Georgia. They have some pretty heavyweight matchups as well. That's a great way for them to also get ready to wrap up non-conference play before coming home against Oakland City on the 30th.
Yeah, I continue to give credit to Coach Selly on the women's side and Michael Lewis on the men's side for the schedule that they have orchestrated for their respective teams. So for our women to play in a neutral setting against Pittsburgh, against Georgia, two good programs, I think we've got a chance to, again, showcase the style of play that we enjoy at Ball State on the women's side, on a national scene, to play those caliber opponents, but to do it on a neutral setting, I think is helpful. I'm encouraged by the direction of that program and the level of play that our team provides. I'm excited to watch them play, and then really excited about conference play for them as the calendar bleeds into January.
Jeff, you talk about schedules. We have official schedules for the Ball State baseball program and softball. Let's start off with the baseball side of things. Come off the MAC championship, run to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, a lot of road matchups early on in the season before a home slate begins. But what stands out to you about the Ball State baseball schedule this year?
Well, I think it's a really competitive schedule. Coach Maloney's done a nice job of putting his team in a position to be successful, be competitive, to prepare for conference play. I think we're playing 6 games against teams that enjoyed postseason play last year. So we'll be tested, and I think that's exactly the way Coach Maloney wants it. I think we've got a chance to play really well this season, and I've got to get used to not going down to the ballpark and watching us play early in the season. I'll stream a lot of those games as we are on the road, but look forward to us playing at home as we get into March. I'll be patient.
How about the softball schedule? What stands out about that side?
Well, I'm excited for Helen Pena, who our head coach, and the young ladies on that team. I think they've worked really hard to get a schedule in place that is appropriate for the type of team that we'll have, and I think there's great energy that is in our softball program right now, and really excited for Coach Pena as she gets to enjoy Ball State softball for her first season as a Cardinal.
Just from your experiences, how do you see those first couple of months of baseball, traveling, playing so many non-conference games and softball, start to impact teams before you get ready for conference play and home stretches like we'll see with Ball State?
Well, I think that you get better when you play. And so as we begin to start the season, I think our motivation for both teams is to go and play to the standard that I think both teams have, which is a level of excellence, certainly on the baseball side and the rich tradition that we've enjoyed here at Ball State under the leadership of Rich Maloney. And then on the softball side, too, I think the level of expertise that Helen Pena brings with her is something that I think our team is excited about in terms of how we play at that standard. And you get to do it, on the road at some neutral sites, depending on where the tournaments are, and you just get to play. And I think that builds some confidence, and you learn a lot about teams early on. And then after a couple of weeks under the belt, you start to play towards your identity. And I think for both our teams, we look forward to seeing what that is this year. It's different every year. And I know our coaches and our student athletes are excited about getting the season underway.
Jeff, one season that is almost underway, and by the time we have a next episode, because we'll take the 2 weeks off for the holiday break, the next time we come back on, there will have been 5 men's volleyball matches in the books in that first week of January. It's a very exciting time. Coach Donan Cruz, entering his 3rd season, has put himself on the map, has put Ball State volleyball back on the map again, of course, but this is a very exciting men's volleyball program.
Yeah, it really is. If you are looking forward to the men's volleyball season, you will not want to miss that first week here in Worthen. Really looking forward to watching these guys compete. I know Coach Cruz is really excited about it, and I look forward to watching them play. This was the first indoor event that I witnessed when I got here last March.
And your first impression was
power. It's just it's such a neat game in person. I'm not embarrassed to say this. The first men's volleyball match live that I ever saw was here at Ball State, and it was just completely blown away by the power in that game. So really looking forward to that season.
Jeff, before we let you go and take the holiday breaks, anything you want Ball State fans to know at this time before we get to the new year?
Well, I just continue to appreciate the level of support that we're receiving, and am excited about our spring seasons and the conference segment of our basketball seasons, and encourage you guys as fans to come and join us. It's an open invitation to come experience what we're doing and come enjoy the talents of our student athletes and watch our coaches coach. It is a lot of fun to watch these teams grow and develop, and I think we are doing what I hoped we would do all along, and that's thrive. And we do that in large part because of the support of our loyal supporters. So please come watch us play. Please be involved. There's no shortage of ways you can help us, and certainly buying season tickets is one. Attending games is another. Donating to the Cardinal Varsity Club is one way. And if you want to make more meaningful contributions, especially as we are in our capital campaign, would love to entertain conversations with you about how you can make meaningful contributions to the future of Ball State athletics.
Jeff, outside of being the director of athletics over the holiday break, what are the plans?
Well, some family time. It's been a sprint for me since arriving in Muncie in mid-March, and really looking forward to having some quiet time with the family. So the break always comes at the right time, and so I'm grateful this Christmas and holiday season to be able to spend time with my family.
Well, Jeff, enjoy it. We appreciate you. We'll see you in 2024. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mick. Go Cards.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gainbridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gainbridge.io.
And we're back inside episode 17 of This Week in Ball State Sports. Our guest this week is Emma Kumar. She's the Associate Athletics Director and Senior Woman Administrator here at Ball State. Emma, thank you so much for taking some time out of your week to join us before the holidays.
Thanks for having me, Mick.
Emma, there is so much to unpack within Ball State Athletics, and your role specifically. You have a few different titles to your name. You do quite a bit. But when you break it down, who is Emma Kumar?
I love that. Before we get deep into this, I want to take a moment, Mick, to thank you. You do so much for us, and with your multitude of new roles, thank you for the impact that you continue to have at Ball State. We're really lucky to have you as a teammate here, and just grateful to be on the podcast. So who am I? So I am a former student athlete. I graduated from a small school in Minnesota, played soccer and ran track there. I guess I'll just go down my journey a little bit for you, and why I'm in college athletics. So when I wasn't a student athlete, I was obviously studying, competing, training. When I was outside of that, I worked heavily within the athletics office, and worked day-to-day, supported administrators, and was even, I don't know if you know this, but I was an athletic trainer in my off season. So I was really heavily involved in the athletics department, but even when I was a senior in college, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. So I took a year after college and actually went into science. So I worked in a lab for 8 hours a day for a year and found out really quickly what I didn't want to be doing. But I think the biggest takeaway from that role was the man who ran that lab was so passionate. He was probably 75 years old. He was committed and passionate and came in every day with excitement and energy. And I was like, I need that for me. I want that in a different space for me. So my next role, I kind of got lucky and stumbled into fundraising and was able to work at the University of Minnesota in their athletics department doing fundraising. And that's sort of when fundraising and this role clicked for me. So spent some time at Minnesota and had a great opportunity there, and then was able to work a little bit in the nonprofit sector in the Twin Cities and get involved heavily with both philanthropy, but also marketing and communications with the pro teams in the city, which was really neat. And then my journey took me down to New Orleans, and I worked at Tulane University in their athletics department. And then about 3 years ago, I started at Ball State. So that's kind of the journey of how I got here. And it's been awesome. I know my role has shifted a little bit, and I know we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm pretty grateful to be able to work in this industry, to be able to work with people that both on the external side are so passionate about their university and the athletics department and the student athletes that they give their own money back through philanthropy. It's pretty powerful.
Emma, how has your role changed since you got to Ball State? That's a loaded question, but how has it changed?
Yeah, no, great question. So when I started here, I was 100% fundraising, right? So frontline fundraising. And then probably about 6 to 8, when Jeff got here, 6 to 8 months ago, my role shifted and added senior woman administrator and some sport oversight. So I have two components within my role, essentially. We have the external relations side, which fundraising, and then the internal relations side. So on the external side, as a fundraiser, I'm pretty lucky that I get the opportunity to work and touch kind of all spaces within external relations. So obviously frontline fundraiser, but working with our ticket office pretty heavily, and then Learfield and marketing, communications, premium seating, all of those spaces I'm lucky to be able to be involved in around revenue generation, which is great. And then on the internal side, learning a lot for sure. So leaning heavily on our compliance staff and academic staff and kind of learning all of that space so I can support our student athletes a little bit more on the internal side. So the SWA role it's an interesting one because I think each person kind of makes it their own depending on where they are, really. But really you're here as, I think there's a lot of misconceptions as to what it is. So here, this job is created so there's someone at the executive level on the athletics staff that's a woman that has a different perspective and is involved with leadership decisions, and they support both men's and women's sports. So it's been really awesome to be able to work closely with Jeff and Haven and Alex and Dr. Blom in that space and kind of make my way and figure out how we kind of want to create this role.
Within your short time of being the SWA, how have you seen yourself navigate the waters?
Lots of learning. I think that one of the best parts of this role is I now found a new community of people. So all the SWAs in the conference, I've been able to connect with them and really get to know them and hear how they make their role what it is. So another part of this SWA role is Jeff and I go to the conference office, we connect with the conference once a year, and we essentially vote on legislation within our teams. So let's say, I'll use an example that we don't have, but let's say a team wants to expand their championship and have more teams in the championship series, then we vote on it. All the coaches vote on it and then send it to the SWAs, and then the SWAs talk it through and kind of talk about the pros, cons, what's the strategy of the conference, and how does this make sense or not make sense for us, and then we vote on it. So it's pretty neat that we kind of have I get to have a new community in that space as an SWA.
When you've been able to go through your time as an SWA, I love the breakdown, Emma, because there are so many different things within that space that, like you said, not a lot of people know what that role is. You said you've leaned on some people across the conference and in the country with your SWA role. How valuable has that been to have those people in the space help you and you be able to bring fresh ideas to Ball State as well?
It has been incredible. These women are so knowledgeable and have years and years of experience in this space, and I do not, right? I have 6 months of it in this world. So it's been pretty special to be able to, one, lean on all of these new humans, but also hear about their different experiences. The unique thing, I think, about our SWA room is now that we have a frontline fundraiser in me, we have every area within an athletics department covered. We have someone in external relations, compliance, academics. So that balance of knowledge in that space is really valuable. So I have no doubt that I'll lean on these people, and they might not know it yet, but lean on these people for the rest of my career.
What's been your favorite part about being SWA at Ball State?
I think being more involved with the student athletes, right? I'm here to support them. And that, as a fundraiser, you kind of run around and you're not as engaged with the student athletes. But here, my door is open for the student athletes. So if they're having a challenge or they need any sort of support, I can help them or direct them the right way. So that's been the most rewarding, to be able to interact with the student athletes.
How about your time at Ball State? What overall, outside of working with student athletes, within your different roles, how do you pinpoint time management? How do you pinpoint making sure that you are putting in time to all of those buckets that you have to pour into?
Yeah, good question. So I've started, you have to be so intentional. So I have to put on my calendar, hey, get out to practice, right? Make sure you do X, Y, and Z. Have that on your calendar, because if you're not intentional about it, you'll be on the phone with people on the external side for an entire day, right? And miss certain opportunities. So balancing it is key, and being really intentional about, okay, here's how I'm going to spend my day. And then knowing something might happen and all of those things that you have scheduled might not occur, and you might need to push it to the other day. You just have to be flexible but intentional.
What sports do you oversee?
So cross country and indoor and outdoor track and field. So I get to work with Coach Wheatley and his team, which has been awesome because I'm a former runner. I was a very average runner, but it's been...
Give yourself a little more credit.
But it's been really neat to be able to work with that program because I know it so well, and I love cross and track, and to be able to go cheer those ladies on.
So we talked about your SWA, the sports you oversee, but when people hear the title Associate Athletics Director, what do you want them to know about that role?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure necessarily about hearing the title or hearing X, Y, and Z. I think hearing what our team can accomplish. It's been really neat to see Jeff build his leadership team, and now we have it. So as people kind of get into their different roles, we're starting to really churn and really starting to get into a rhythm of what we want to accomplish. And there's so many great things here. So now that we have our crew, it's been very exciting. So I think just that our team is so dynamic and different, and there are a lot of unique components to it. Like, I'll give you an example. My position is obviously unique with the internal external, but someone like Dr. Blom, that position is it's groundbreaking. It's really a unique position to be able to have someone with her expertise in that space work with our athletic training and our strength coaches and mental health. So that is, it's impressive. So I give a lot of props to obviously our leader, Jeff Mitchell, for kind of crafting a team that is really unique to Ball State.
There's been so much growth within the department, too, in the last 6 to 8 months. There has been tons of turnover, yes, but the growth, and you mentioned it, Jeff and the entire staff have been able to create what they want the department to look like. But from your end, how have you seen the department grow?
Certainly, we've added more depth. I think that adds value, especially in the external relations side. But I think just the concept of having, now that Jeff's here, we obviously had about a 7-month interim period. But now that Jeff's here, kind of having us all on the same page, moving in the same direction, has been the most amount of value, because we have such great humans, and we've got some stuff to do. It's pretty exciting. Like, you can tell when we meet as a team, and we're about to meet as a team after this, the excitement in all the different areas now that we're churning. So just grateful to be here and lucky to be in the position that I am in.
And when we sit here and close up 2023. It's been an incredible semester just in the fall, but all of the stuff that you've talked about helps set the foundation for what the spring semester looks like and then next fall, right? There's so much that's been done this year that propels us into what we do next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the big things that we're heading into, and obviously was launched in October, but the campaign for the university-wide campaign, which for those of you that haven't heard, I'm sure most of you have heard it, it's a $350 million campaign, and athletics plays a critical role in that space. So we have some big projects that we have come in. They're going to be down the line a little bit, but they're coming that are going to be critical for our student athletes. So as we look forward to the spring and the fall, finding ways to expand our base and getting more people involved is critical. So for those of you listening that are involved, I'm sure a lot of you already are supporters, so thank you. But if you're not a supporter, please do not hesitate to reach out, whether it be a $5 gift or a major gift to join the Williams Society, whatever is significant to you, we want you and need you, right? So reach out to me directly, and just grateful that we have so much great supporters and the opportunity to really head into this campaign. They're really exciting opportunities for universities to kind of garner the momentum and go do some great things for our university.
Emma, we've talked with Jeff about this at length, but the ability for the university at the top to be so connected with the athletics department has helped the connection grow and strengthen throughout the time of President Mearns' tenure. How have you seen that play a factor in your role?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think I would have been able to do my role without the alignment with President Mearns and Jeff Mitchell, right? That is one of the most unique, I think, components about Ball State, how supportive and involved our president is with everything that we do. It's pretty awesome to be able to have your president at the cross country meet cheering on your student athletes. That's unique, and that means a lot to our student athletes. They notice it, right? So when you have, in any space, when you have that sort of support from your leaders through all the way through the top, it changes how you compete, how you do your day-to-day. It's pretty meaningful.
Emma, before we let you go for the holidays, what do you want people to know from your space across Ball State Athletics?
From the fundraising side, just thank you for those that are involved, and for anyone who is not involved yet, we're here and we're grateful and we're excited for you to be involved. And then I think just from a leadership standpoint, we're ready, we're built, we're here. Our team is constructed, and we're moving, and there's a lot of exciting things in the future that we can't wait to share with you.
Emma, what are your holiday plans?
So, actually, I'm from Minnesota, so my husband and I and my dog, we're driving to Minnesota tomorrow, but we're getting there in time so we can watch the Cardinals beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers in basketball on Thursday. So, excited for that, excited to see you out there. And then my family is all in Minnesota, so I have a niece, and we've got our whole crew up there, so be able to spend some quality time with them for the next week, and then we'll be back for hoops on the 30th.
Well, Emma, we're excited to see you in Minnesota. Enjoy the holidays, spend it with family, safe travels, and appreciate what you do and for joining the podcast. Thank you, Emma.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.